What's up everybody, welcome back. So today in this video, I have a smashed 01 E46 325i. So what we're gonna do in this video, pretty much, I'm gonna show you exactly what you need when you need to repair your front end like this. As long as it's not like completely totaled, you're getting a small little front end hit like this. We'll show you how to take all the parts off. In this car, we gotta cut most of it off, but we'll show you exactly what you need. A lot of times I get calls all the time from people who have a similar collision like this, and they're not sure exactly what they need besides the hood, front bumper, radiator, all the basic stuff, all the little brackets, the horn connectors, the bumper bar, the bumper shocks, all that little stuff under here that does get damaged. I'm also going to show you too what can happen too on some of the things to look for on the engine. Possibly oil filter housing cracking or breaking. All your pulleys that are plastic, they usually crack or break if the hit's hard enough. So we're going to go ahead and get this stuff off of this car, and then we're going to just kind of review everything and go through everything you need to get your car back on the road. All right, now I got the front bumper and the hood off. We're just gonna do a real quick walkthrough here, what's underneath here. So here is the horn on the bumper bar, one on the other side there. So a lot of times they'll either get damaged or the connectors for them will get damaged. We're gonna take a look at it right now. So this is the horn connector that goes to that side, fog light and the fog light connector. So also you'll see in here too, which is common, this already fell off. This is the inside bumper bracket that slides onto that bumper bracket, and these will commonly break too with any kind of front end collision. As we walk through here, you can see the bumper brackets. They actually look still pretty good. It was kind of a high hit on top of the bumper, so the bumper got a little bit of collision. But with these cars, normally they dive so much, and a lot of the hit goes from like the nose back and just takes all that sheet metal with it. You can see where the radiator support's bent there. And this bumper bracket doesn't look horrible. You can see it's still in the frame rail there. But if your car has headlight washer squirters, there'll be a hose that runs through there. And normally behind the headlight and the headlight trim here, that hose will run through there like that. So these things will break, dump your washer fluid all over. And you can see there, it's a perfect example. It was a driver's side hit, so there's the bumper bracket bolt broken. And then obviously the fender's pushed in, headlight gone. Radiator support is just pushed back, and there is a duct in here, which you can see like this. This is the front duct. And a lot of times there'll be a AC pusher fan on the automatic transmission cars in the front of this, which would be something that you would have to replace too. And also too, just a quick look, this is your power steering cooler in front of the AC condenser, and all that's damaged as well. So we're just gonna go ahead and start pulling this all apart. So far, everything's just kind of coming off nicely. Everything's just unbolting. So we're just gonna continue. We may have to cut, we may not, but so far everything's coming off. All right, as we slowly peel back these layers, I have the radiator support off now, And then there's the headlight washer, squirter hose. And then here are the front bumper shocks and the shock mounts. They're actually pretty decent shape actually, and there's 3 13mm nuts that hold them on, and there's usually 2 rivets. The ones that was broken off because of the collision, we usually have to drill those out to get them out. So now we're just going to take an up close look here. You can see both sides of these radiator, like module mounts they call them, the radiator, AC condenser, and the power steering cooler all clips into those, which will show a better look when I pull the newer parts to replace it with. And then you can see the headlight housing is just completely demolished. Also, I noticed, obviously the air box is completely broken. And normally there's a top air filter, upper radiator cover or air filter intake duct. It's on top of that. We already just threw that out because it was already damaged. And then now you can see this was once the power steering reservoir. So that's gonna need to be replaced too. And the thermostat housing there. See, that's just completely broke. So as we get closer and closer, you'll see all the things that possibly can go bad when you get in a light hit like this. And also what to look for too, when you have your car apart, double check all these things, make sure you don't put it all back together and it's pouring coolant out in a spot that's gonna be hard to get to next time. Okay, so now I have the whole radiator assembly out of the car. This is a stick shift car. So commonly the engine fan they use is electric. So if your car is automatic, you're going to have a fan clutch. The clutch will bolt to this, and then you have a plastic fan blade that bolts to the front of that. So in this case, it is a stick shift car. So there's that damaged fan, and now you can see that that's the coolant overflow tank there, and then this is the actual mounting plate for the coolant tank, and they are different from automatic to stick shift as well. Automatic ones, you're gonna see a aluminum fluid cooler right here in the front, and has a separate little clip, and that will pop out separately. In this case, it definitely would have been damaged and smashed and would have to be replaced. So there is definitely on both sides of the radiator, there are the mounts that this one's gone because it was the driver's side, and the passenger side one was okay, but it was still damaged. So this is the radiator, AC condenser, coolant overflow tank, and AC fan there. Just another little couple things too. There is a fan sensor. This one, the mounts are broken. This sits on top of the radiator. If you turn it around, you can see one of the clips is broken. So that's something to keep an eye out for as well. Also, the ambient air temperature sensor that's in the wheel well, check that one too. This one was replaced at some point and it's still here. So further inspection, now you can see where all the damage is. The alternator completely destroyed, idler pulley destroyed, and if you look back there, the oil filter housing is broken. So that would have to be replaced as well. And then there's the power steering fluid reservoir again. And we're just gonna go ahead down here. The water pump pulley seems to be okay, but you know, you're already here, you might as well replace it just in case there is a little hairline crack in it because they are plastic. You might as well replace that. It's not terribly expensive. You definitely need a thermostat housing here. The upper radiator hose connects to is completely broken off there. And then we'll go down a little further. Still see the alternators all damaged. It's a pretty good shot. And then there's the power steering pump. The pump looks okay. It doesn't have any like cracks or anything like that in it. And then you can see the pulley is just not even there anymore. There's pieces of it still broken on there. And depending how long this car ran with the fluid out of it, because the power steering cooler was all damaged. I mean, it could have dumped all the fluid out and kind of maybe seized the bearing in the pump. So that's something you would have to either check after the fact or just replace it while you're there. So that's that all the way apart there. And another thing I want to mention too are these front frame horns. This one is bent a little bit, but the other side's in good shape. So besides this one, this is a pretty good hit on this car. That's kind of why we have it as a parts car in here, because that strut tower is buckled. It definitely could be saved and straightened. But if you have a light hit like this, that there's not that much damage to your front strut tower, you could go ahead and start putting everything back together, because those frame horns, besides that top piece being bent, it's straight, which is a cool thing about these cars, because a lot of cars have the radiator support. It's actually welded to it and it's part of the chassis. These cars, they just unbolt right off. Okay, I went ahead and laid every single thing out that you might possibly need when you're replacing your front end, except for the front bumper and the bumper bar. I don't have that, or the hood laid out, or the interior wheel wells and underlining. But these are all the items that you need to kind of look for. So I'm gonna start out in the front here. So you have the fog lights, and then there's the fog light connector, the horn connector, ambient sensor, and then they're your front bumper bracket bars, and they bolt right there to the front frame horns. A lot of times they will get crumpled, and you can cut those off and replace those. We sell those all the time for front end hits. And then there are the lower radiator brackets that mount inside those frame horns there, which are sitting right next to. So I'm gonna go around here, and now you can see that white bracket is the front bumper mounting bracket that mounts to the chassis. And then there's like the front headlight, lower trim headlight, side marker light. And then there's the side marker connector, which can be damaged, and the socket there. There's the headlight connector, fan sensor and connector, front air scoop that sits behind the hood and front bumper. Same thing on the other side, headlight, corner light, connectors. And now we're gonna move on to the radiators here. So there's the AC condenser that's black that sits in front of the radiator. And then in front of that is that power steering cooler here, and then there's the radiator that's silver there. They're all sandwiched together, and they mount with these module pieces, and they all mount together, and they're all screwed together and hook in one piece. And then there is the expansion tank and expansion tank mount that mounts to the back of the radiator in the underhood side. So you're gonna have two options when it comes to fans here. I'm gonna start with the automatic. So right here, I separated the automatic stuff. So if you have an automatic car, there's the AC fan that mounts right in front of the AC condenser, right there. So behind the radiator, if you open up the hood, you're gonna have a fan shroud and an engine clutch fan. So usually if you have a nice light front hit there, that radiator's gonna go right into that fan there and grenade that thing. So that's what you'll have if you have an auto car, and we'll move over with a stick shift car. You're gonna have an electric engine fan, and that is on the engine side under the hood mounted to the radiator. And that's what that looks like there. And you won't have that AC fan that's in the front of the AC condenser. All right, moving right along. So there is the rad support, and that bolts to the front frame rails and the top of the fender / chassis mounting points there. So I also laid out two front fenders, and I also laid out, in this particular instance, the alternator, power steering pump, and water pump pulley. They're all damaged in this hit. And then left and right fenders. All right, so that about does it today for our video. So good luck getting your car on the road, and just make sure you go over every little thing, make sure there's nothing that you missed. So anything can happen during one of those collisions, so just keep an eye out for that. So if you enjoyed the video, press like, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks again for watching.